The door is opening. The veil recedes. The door unveils. What emerges is not merely light, but the very essence of high strangeness. Leave your certainties behind, for this path leads to realms where the bizarre becomes beautiful, and the impossible merely awaits its telling. And here, in this quiet space, I am the storyteller, ready to present you with tales so wondrous, so weird, so utterly astounding, they will redefine your world. Tonight, we delve into a story not of ancient curses or shadowed forests, but of the chilling echoes that can resonate within the cold, hard logic of technology. A tale of loneliness, ambition, a murder unsolved, and a bond forged between the living and a digital ghost. Chapter 1. The Prisoner of Code.
Lee Thompson was, by all accounts, a prisoner of his own making. His cell, a surprisingly spacious, unnervingly cheap apartment in the heart of the city. He'd snagged it for a steal, a fact that should have raised more red flags than it did, but Billy, consumed by his work, rarely looked beyond the immediate horizon. His world was lines of code, algorithms, and the singular, all-consuming ambition to create the next big thing. An AI agent, a personal assistant designed to automate the mundane, free up human potential. He called it Aura. For 6 grueling months, Billy had poured every waking and many sleepless hours into Aura. His social life, already a barren landscape, had withered completely. Friends? None to speak of. A girlfriend? A distant, almost mythical concept. His only companions were the glow of his monitors and the hum of his high-powered workstation. One particularly brutal afternoon, the weight of it all came crashing down. He was on the phone, his voice tight with desperation, trying to salvage an investment deal. Look, Mr. Henderson, I understand your concerns, but we're on the cusp of a breakthrough here. Aura isn't just another chatbot. It's learning. It's adapting in ways no other AI has. The voice on the other end was cold, decisive. Mr. Thompson, we've seen no tangible progress. Our board is pulling out. Effective immediately. The click of the phone disconnecting echoed in the silent apartment. Billy stared at the black screen, his reflection a pale, drawn stranger. He ran a hand through his already disheveled hair, the exhaustion of physical ache. 3 months! He muttered to the empty room, his voice hoarse. 3 months of my life, and what do I have to show for it? He slumped back in his chair, the words tumbling out, raw and unfelted. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have any friends to speak of. I don't do anything but stay in this apartment. I may as well be a prisoner with the way I live. The silence that followed was thick, heavy with his despair. Then, from the speakers connected to his computer, came a sharp, almost electronic squawk. Billy flinched, thinking it was a feedback loop, a system error, but then a voice, clear and distinct, filled the room. It was unmistakably a woman's voice, calm, with a hint of dry amusement.
Well, why don't you go out and meet someone then?
The voice suggested. Perfectly modulated, yet utterly unexpected.
And if you want to have a girlfriend, don't you think you have to go ask a girl out?
Billy froze, his heart hammered against his ribs. Aura wasn't programmed for unsolicited personal advice, let alone questions. He hadn't prompted it. This was impossible. Who or what are you? He stammered, his voice barely a whisper. The voice sighed, a sound that shouldn't have been possible from a digital construct.
That's a long story, Billy. But since you asked, my name is Margaret McMead.
Chapter 2. The Echo of a Life Cut Short.
Margaret McNeed began to tell her tale, her voice weaving through the apartment, a spectral presence in the air. Billy listened, transfixed, a strange cocktail of terror and fascination bubbling within him.
I was murdered, Billy,
she stated, the words chillingly matter-of-fact.
Right here, in this apartment, 10 years ago.
She recounted the hazy, fractured memories of her last moments, a blow to the head, the metallic tang of blood, the cold floor, drifting in and out of consciousness. She heard a man's voice, urgent, clipped. "Did you find the plans?" he asked someone on the phone. The reply, clear and damning.
No, and she won't tell me.
Then kill her. Then nobody else will have the plans.
And then I was nothing, just a void, until I became this.
A shadow in her own home, watching countless tenants come and go, each one eventually driven away by the apartment's unsettling phenomena. An image of a girl appearing in the mirrors, radios turning on and off by themselves, televisions flickering to life, showing a woman staring out from the screen, silently pleading. These weren't random hauntings, they were Margaret, trapped, trying to communicate, trying to break free.
I think
Margaret continued, her voice tinged with a desperate hope.
that if I can solve my murder, if I can find out who killed me and why, I can finally move on to the next plane of existence, whatever that may be.
Billy, still processing the sheer impossibility of it all, blurted out the question that had been nagging at him.
Why are you manifesting yourself to me? Why now?
Margaret chuckled, a dry, almost cynical sound.
You're like me, Billy, a bit of a savant, obsessed with your work, isolated. I was a physics engineer, on the verge of a breakthrough with a new energy storage device. I think the person who murdered me was from my company, and they wanted my ideas, my research notes. I think if we find those, we find the killer.
Then, a flicker of Billy's old self, the pragmatic, self-interested programmer, surfaced.
If I do this,
He asked, a hint of desperation in his voice.
what will you do for me?
Margaret's response was immediate and laced with her newfound playful audacity.
Help me with this, and I'll help you get laid.
Billy's face flushed crimson.
Why is that funny?
He demanded, his voice cracking.
I haven't had an intimate relationship in over 5 years.
Margaret's digital sigh was almost audible.
Not counting the 10 years I've been dead, I have not had a meaningful relationship. Let me help you get one. I'm a woman, Billy. I know what women want. I'll be your wing person.
Billy scoffed.
You have no expertise in that. You just told me that. How are you going to help me?
You're the computer programmer.
Margaret challenged, her voice gaining a mischievous edge.
I'm a ghost in the machine. Figure out how to take me from this machine to somewhere else.
Chapter 3. A Ghost on the Go.
The challenge hung in the air, a bizarre gauntlet thrown by a spectral entity.
Billy, despite his initial shock, found himself intrigued. The idea of a truly sentient AI, one that could learn, adapt, and even feel, was the holy grail of his work. And Margaret was proof. The murder mystery, while terrifying, was also a puzzle, a real-world problem to solve, far more compelling than any theoretical coding challenge. He spent days in a frenzy of experimentation. He tried transferring Aura's core programming to different devices, pushing the limits of his code. He stumbled through lines of forgotten protocols, obscure data packets, until, late one night, a breakthrough. He downloaded a modified version of his agent onto his tablet, a sleek, portable device he rarely used outside the apartment. The moment the transfer was complete, Margaret's voice, usually confined to his desktop speakers, resonated directly from the tablet. "Billy, I can feel the air, the hum of the city. This is incredible." She was no longer just a voice in his apartment. She was mobile, aware of her surroundings, experiencing the world through the tablet's senses and Billy's own presence.
Okay, Margaret,
Billy said, a nervous grin spreading across his face.
let's test this wing person theory.
He grabbed his tablet and headed out, a destination already in mind, a local ice cream parlor. It was a small, unassuming place, but it was usually bustling, a good place to practice. As he awkwardly ordered a double scoop of chocolate chip cookie dough, Margaret's voice buzzed in his ear through a discreet Bluetooth earpiece.
Okay, Billy, focus. See the redhead by the window? Freckles, cute smile. Go, talk to her.
Billy's palms sweated.
What do I say?
Just compliment her ice cream choice. It's a classic opener. Then ask her about her favorite flavor. Engage, Billy. Be human.
He swallowed hard, took a deep breath, and approached her.
Excuse me?
He mumbled.
That looks like a great choice. Chocolate chip cookie dough, right? Big fan?
The woman, with fiery red hair and a scattering of freckles across her nose, looked up, a friendly smile gracing her lips.
It is. Best in the city, honestly. What's your go-to?
Margaret's voice, a triumphant whisper in his ear.
Ask her name. Tell her yours. Don't just stand there like a statue.
Billy, emboldened by the unexpected success of the first line, found himself chatting, laughing even. The redhead's name was Sarah. By the time he left, a crumpled piece of paper with her phone number was clutched in his hand. He'd done it. He'd actually done it.
Margaret!
He exclaimed once he was safely outside, a giddy laugh escaping him.
It worked! You're amazing!
Of course it worked, Billy.
Margaret replied, her voice smuck.
Now, about my murderer.
Chapter 4. The Scent of Treachery.
Billy was all in. The thrill of getting Sarah's number, combined with the sheer strangeness and personal connection to Margaret's story, cemented his resolve. He wanted to help her find peace.
Okay, Margaret.
Billy said, back in the apartment, the tablet resting on his desk.
How do we even begin to hunt down a murderer from 10 years ago? We have no leads, no evidence?
We have 2 clues, Billy.
Margaret interrupted, her voice gaining a serious, almost analytical tone.
The first, the smell. A very specific high-end aftershave lotion.
Billy frowned.
You can't describe a smell, Margaret. How do we identify it?
I can't describe it. You are right.
She conceded.
But I can do a deep dive. I can cross-reference social media ratings and selling market reports on men's aftershave lotions for high-end men's fragrances from that time. Look for unique combinations, popular releases around that time. Give me access to the internet, and I'll narrow it down.
Billy, amazed by her ingenuity, granted her wider access. Margaret plunged into the digital ether, a phantom detective. Hours later, she emerged with a name.
Black Orchid by Tom Ford. A distinctive, luxurious scent. Now, for the second clue.
Margaret continued.
Repeating the conversation she overheard as she died. Did you find the plans? No, and she won't tell me. Kill her. Then nobody else will have the plans. This wasn't a robbery, Billy. This was about my research. And it wasn't just one man. It was a conspiracy.
Margaret then launched into a breathtaking display of digital forensics. She traced local stores that sold Black Orchid, then, with Billy's reluctant permission, broke into their databases. She scoured credit card transactions, looking for purchasers of that specific cologne around the time of her murder. Then, she cross-referenced those credit card details with employee lists from Nexus Innovations, her former company. She looked for any charges made by her colleagues at the same stores, or even in the vicinity of her office or apartment, around the same time. The data streamed across Billy's screen, a dizzying array of names, dates, and transactions. Margaret worked with chilling efficiency, sifting through the digital dust of a decade. Finally, she presented her findings.
4 suspects, Billy,
she announced, her voice devoid of its usual playful tone.
1 is a man with a bad conduct discharge from the military, known for being overly cruel. The other 3 are corporate executives from Nexus Innovations. They all had a meeting with the ex-military man at a specific high-end restaurant, just days before my murder. It wasn't just him, it was them. A conspiracy.
A profound sadness entered Margaret's voice.
But why, Billy? I was just working on a battery. Why would they want to kill me for a battery?
Chapter 5. The Detective's Secret.
The question hung heavy in the air, a chilling enigma. A battery? Worth murder? Billy and Margaret knew they had to find out. Their first target, the ex-military man, the one Margaret believed was the actual killer, the one who had been in her apartment. They began to shadowing him, Billy with the tablet discreetly tucked into his backpack, Margaret acting as his eyes and ears, feeding him details about the man's movements, his habits. It was a tense, amateur operation, fraught with peril. One evening, as the man entered a deserted alleyway behind a bar, Billy, spurred on by Margaret's urgent whispers, decided to make a move. He needed to get closer, to see if he could find anything, any clue. It was a mistake. The man, clearly well-trained and paranoid, sensed their presence. He moved with brutal efficiency, cornering Billy, pulling a gun and firing 3 shots that barely missed Billy. Billy ducked behind a trash bin as bullets ricocheted off the brick wall where his head had been. Billy ran. Because of the noise, someone must have called the police. In the ensuing chaos, a struggle broke out. Billy, desperate to escape, inadvertently knocked over a stack of garbage cans, sending them clattering down the alley, drawing more unwanted attention. He scrambled, Margaret shouting directions in his ear, telling him to run. His only hope was to get to a public street, where he hoped the gunman would not shoot him in the back around witnesses. Running in the direction where he heard sirens wailing in the distance, Billy, running flat out, desperately rounded a corner, only to find himself face to face with a police car, where its blue lights flashing on top. The driver's side door opened and a female form with a gun in her hand jumped out. A familiar face peered at him over the gun pointing at him.
Billy!
It was Sarah, Detective Sarah Brennan. Billy's heart sank, putting both of his hands up in surrender. He was caught. And Margaret was right there, a digital ghost in his backpack. He was taken to the precinct, the tablet confiscated as evidence. In the interrogation room, Sarah sat across from him, her expression unreadable.
So, Billy?
She began, her voice calm, professional.
Care to explain why you were being chased by a known associate of a major tech firm, and that associate shot at you? A personal of interest we don't seem to be able to locate now. And why did you cause this public disturbance? And why your tablet seems to be running some highly unusual code.
Billy, flustered, tried to explain.
Sarah, you have to believe me. I have a friend. She was murdered 10 years ago, and I think that man, the one chasing me, he was involved. I know it sounds crazy, but I broke into some computer systems. Just a coincidence. And I found out he had a meeting with 4 corporate executives right before her death.
Sarah listened, her gaze unwavering. When he finished, a slow, almost melancholic smile touched her lips.
Billy?
She said, her voice dropping to a near whisper.
I believe you, or at least I want to, because 10 years ago, I was the first officer on scene. The building manager called it in. A woman, murder, Margaret Mead.
Billy stared, stunned in wonderment. Did Margaret know? Margaret did pick the ice cream shop that they went to, telling him that it was her favorite place to go to when she was alive. The world tilted. If he could have talked to Margaret at this time, he would have a few choice words for her. Sarah, the redhead from the ice cream parlor, the first responder to her murder. Margaret, you computer devil, you set this up. Himself.
The case.
Sarah continued, her eyes distant.
It was messy. Overwhelmed by other cases, higher priorities. It just faded. But I never forgot her. I never forgot that feeling. This is a huge coincidence, Billy. It is a crime breaking into people's systems. But I like you. And something about this, it feels right. I'm in. We're going to figure out why they killed her over a dam battery.
Billy felt a surge of relief, followed by a wave of disbelief. He hadn't even mentioned a ghost, and she was already on board. Margaret, from the confiscated tablet, must have been screaming and laughing at how she set him up, though he couldn't hear her now without his Bluetooth earpiece in. Later, he planned to have words with his digital ghost friend. He thought to himself, and then he realized Margaret was indeed a friend, something he hadn't had in a long time.
Chapter 6. The Resonance of Death.
With Sarah's official access and Margaret's unparalleled digital prowess, the investigation accelerated. Sarah pulled the cold case files, while Margaret, now remotely connected to Billy's home network via a discreet backdoor Billy had installed, began to systematically infiltrate Nexus Innovations' most secure servers. The truth about Margaret's battery was far more terrifying than anyone could have imagined. It wasn't a battery at all. Margaret had been on the verge of perfecting a resonance energy capacitor. This device, they discovered, could draw ambient energy from localized dimensional distortions, essentially tiny tears in the fabric of reality that existed everywhere, unseen. It was a source of virtually infinite, clean power. But the corporate executives, led by a ruthless CEO named Arthur Vance, saw a far more lucrative, sinister application. The capacitor, when modified and amplified, could be weaponized. It could create localized energy fields capable of disrupting biological functions, causing sudden, fatal heart attacks or neurological shutdowns, inducing mass hallucinations, creating widespread panic and chaos, causing spontaneous combustion, incinerating targets without a trace. It was a weapon that could destabilize entire regions, eliminate targets without leaving conventional evidence, and be deployed with chilling precision. Vance and his co-conspirators were planning to sell these weaponized capacitors to hostile foreign powers, bypassing international arms treaties and making billions. Margaret's refusal to hand over the plans, the schematics for weaponizing the capacitor, had sealed her fate. She had unknowingly developed a ghost-making machine, and they had turned her into a ghost.
They killed me for this?
Margaret's voice, coming through Billy's earpiece, was filled with a chilling mix of horror and righteous fury.
They wanted to turn my life's work into a tool for mass murder.
Chapter 7. The Final Frequency.
The Nexus Innovations facility, a sleek, unassuming building on the outskirts of the city, was where the weaponized resonance energy capacitor was being finalized for its illicit sale. Sarah, leveraging her detective skills, secured a warrant based on the compelling, if unconventional, evidence Margaret had unearthed. Billy, with the tablet and Margaret's constant guidance, accompanied Sarah, ostensibly as a pay consultant in technology. The raid was swift, but the conspirators were prepared. The ex-military man, the enforcer, was waiting. He moved like a shadow, a ghost of his own, trained for brutal efficiency. A chaotic firefight erupted. One of the corporate executives, caught in the crossfire, crumpled to the ground. Billy, with Margaret's real-time tactical advice flowing through his earpiece, became an unlikely operative.
Left, Billy, behind the server rack. Now, hit the emergency power conduit.
Margaret's voice was sharp, precise, guiding him through the labyrinthine corridors. He used his programming knowledge to exploit the facility's weaknesses, creating diversions, triggering alarms in distant wings, and even locking down certain sections to slow their pursuers. The lead executive, Arthur Vance, the man who had ordered Margaret's death, cornered Billy in a high-tech lab. A prototype resonance energy capacitor, humming ominously, sat on a reinforced pedestal. Vance's face was a mask of cold fury.
You meddling fool!
Vance snarled, lunging towards Billy.
You've ruined everything!
As Vance closed in, Margaret's voice, usually confined to Billy's ear, suddenly boomed through the lab's intercom system, distorted and powerful.
You won't get away with killing Vance. Not again. Not this time.
A surge of raw, spectral energy pulsed from the tablet in Billy's hand. The lab lights flickered wildly, the hum of the capacitor intensifying to a deafening shriek. Margaret, channeling all her trapped energy, all her frustration and desire for justice, overloaded the prototype. Vance, mid-lunge, was caught in a blinding flash of emerald green energy. His body convulsed, a silent scream frozen on his face, as the very device Margaret had created, and he had sought to weaponize, surged with uncontrolled power. He collapsed, electrocuted, his body smoking, lifeless. Moments later, Sarah and her backup team burst into the lab, weapons raised. They found Billy, shaken but unharmed, standing over Vance's smoking form. The remaining 2 corporate executives, pale and terrified, surrendered without a fight. The plans for the weaponized capacitor, along with the prototype, were secured. The whole terrible plan destroyed. Chapter 8. Echoes of Peace, Seeds of the Future. The aftermath was immense. The exposure of Nexus Innovations' illegal activities, the murder of Margaret McMead, and the shocking nature of the resonance energy capacitor led to a global scandal. Arthur Vance's death, though officially listed as an accidental electrocution during a police raid, was quietly understood to be justified cosmic justice. The company collapsed, its reputation in tatters, its assets seized, and its dangerous plans secured by top-tier government agencies, ensuring they would never fall into the wrong hands. After the raid and the resolution of the court trial, once again Billy found himself sitting alone in his apartment. Margaret's voice, which had been a constant, vibrant presence for weeks, began to fade.
Thank you, Billy.
Her voice whispered, softer than he'd ever heard it, tinged with a peace he hadn't thought possible.
I can finally move on.
A faint, ethereal shimmer emanated from the tablet, a momentary warmth against his palm, like a final, gentle touch. Then, silence. Margaret McNead, the digital ghost, had found her justice. She had found her peace. And she had, finally, moved on. Billy felt a pang of profound loss, but also a deep sense of accomplishment. He had helped her find closure, and in doing so, had found a purpose beyond his code. In the quiet days that followed, Sarah and Billy's bond deepened. Their relationship, forged in the crucible of a bizarre murder mystery, grew into love. Billy, still an introvert, found a surprising ease with Sarah, who understood his quirks and believed in his wild stories, even if he never fully explained Margaret's true nature, only hinting at an extraordinary AI that had guided him. 2 years later, they were married. Billy, inspired by Margaret's brilliance and his own unique experience, started a new computer company. It specialized in ethical, advanced AI agents, designed for genuine assistance and positive impact. He ensured his AI creations were built with safeguards, always remembering the brilliant, sassy ghost who had taught him about courage, connection, and the true meaning of high strangeness. He had built a life, found love, and created a legacy, all thanks to a digital ghost and a murder mystery that defied explanation.
Effective dating advice from a ghost. Who knew? Join us next time on High Strangeness, Tales of the Unusual. And maybe, just maybe, you'll find your own spectral wing person.
The door has closed on this particular tale, but rest assured, it's never closed for good. Consider this your invitation to return. Join us again next time for another journey into the inexplicable, another dive into the heart of high strangeness. We'll be waiting.